so the meeting's now open. Thank everybody for coming. So first on the agenda then is apologies for absence.
I've had apologies from Councillor Sparks.
Okay then. Everybody happy to accept that? Yeah. Yes, okay then. And then declarations of interests. Apart from being a resident of Oundle, I don't think I've got anything other than that to declare, but if anything comes up I will do later on. Yes.
You and I are the two Oundle Council trustees on the Oundle Clock Fund. Whose grant request comes up.
I didn't even know that. I'd say it's a church clock as opposed to the town clock.
The Oundle Clock Fund is the one that we're involved in.
Yes.
Yeah. So this one here is the Oundle
The
clock.
Oundle Clock Fund is the church clock.
Oh, right, not the town clock.
No,
God,
not
no
the
wonder I'm
clocks in the town.
confused.
Yeah.
It is a town clock, but it's not.
But it's on the
it's
church.
town hall.
Okay, then therefore I have to declare an interest.
Yes. However, since we're appointed representatives, we can still vote.
Okay. Right, representations from interested parties. Are you an interested party?
I guess I am.
Yes, yeah.
Is that me? Is it me?
Yeah,
Go
yeah.
through that door, is that okay?
Yeah?
Yeah.
A lot of background noise behind.
So it's only that we're not allowed to shut people out, but I think they've got enough common sense to push.
Yeah, it's all right. So, Richard Foster, Blue Moon Solutions. Some of you have met before, I recognise some places. Hello to those who I haven't met before. Basically, I'm the MD of Blue Moon, and we have provided IT services to Oundle Town Council for probably the last 8 to 10 years. And we put in the system that the council currently run from around about 5 years ago. The purpose of me being here today is for a number of reasons, really. Really to make some recommendations towards the council that will require some decisions to be made in terms of budgets. They're mostly around security. The first concern really is that Microsoft are retiring Windows 7 in January. If I'm going over people's heads, then feel free to interrupt, because some of it's
Keep going up there, is all right.
yeah, just interrupt me. So Windows 7 is being retired as an operating system in January 2020, which means that it will continue to work beyond that date, but there will be no further security updates released by Microsoft to plug certain holes in the operating system, etc. The council currently have 4 devices running Windows 7 at the moment. The decision really is to whether you upgrade or replace those. The advice is to move on to Windows 10, that is an operating system that has a future, will continue to be managed and patched by the vendor. The devices that are Windows 7 currently are of an age where, in our professional opinion, we would say replace them rather than upgrade. They're approximately 5 years old. Statistics suggest that beyond that point, the hardware tends to become more unreliable, and you'd potentially be upgrading them and then likely to see a failure in a relatively short period of time. So the advice really is to replace those with newer hardware and to move on to Windows 10, which will still be supported by Microsoft for the foreseeable. And that keeps you in line with security best practice, etc., which obviously in this day and age very important. I've put some figures over to Emma, looking at the cost of those. Do you want me to go through that?
Yeah, have you got it there with you?
Yeah, I've got it here.
Yeah.
So I've also got some copies in here. I wasn't sure how many to bring, but I brought 4, so you can fight over those after I've gone. So we're looking at 2 laptops and 2 desktops. The laptops are £535 each. The desktops are £524 each, and then there's a bit of setup, £90 setup per device, and some adapters and stuff. So the total cost for all of that is £2,500 extra. And that really is a decision that needs to be taken before January to stay in line with that.
That's the server. That's the server.
Oh, sorry.
So there are no server costs involved?
No, there is a bigger picture, which I'll come on to next, but that is the one where there's a deadline to say you need to do something by January 2020. Is there any questions on that particular element?
We can still run on 2007.
Yes, it will continue to work, Windows 7. It's not like it's going to stop working in January, it will continue to do so, but without it being receiving security patches from Microsoft, you're opening the door really for security issues.
And we do internet banking.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And sorry, you can probably tell us the question. Our own question is how old is the equipment we've got at the moment?
Approximately 5 years old.
Okay, right.
That's a youngster.
Can I have your old one? Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So, any more questions on that then? Because you're aware that we've already had to replace the server,
Yes.
because of the crash that we had 2 weeks ago. So this will bring the rest of the system. I'm assuming our whole system then will be sound.
Exactly right, yeah, because you're having a new server within the next couple of days once that arrives with us.
Yeah.
It will be new server and new desktops.
More than 4 desktops, isn't it? You mentioned 2 desktops, 2 laptops.
Yes,
2,500 plus that.
and Emma's, but that's Windows 10 already, so no action required.
So that'll be it for the next 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, can I just raise one other issue in there? Is we've also got this suggestion that we move away from server-based and have more cloud-based operations. So I know Emma is going to the presentation by NCALS.
Yeah, they're doing a presentation on Office 365.
Yeah, you are partially, now as a result of the server failure last week, you are partially on Office 365 anyway for emails. Office 365 is a very good product. It can not just handle your email side of things, but your document storage and sharing, etc., etc. The only real issue that you guys have with moving to a cloud-based solution is Sage. Sage requires something physically here to run, and that's why really with the timescales we had to plan, why we stuck with let's get a replacement server in, continue to operate mostly as you do now, and then potentially move certain features to a cloud-based solution.
The only reason I raise that then is that if we're buying some hardware, I know we're not buying it tonight, but if we're buying hardware, the hardware you've got there is correct if we want to make that move to cloud-based.
Yes, no concerns in that respect, yeah, that would be absolutely fine.
Okay.
Can I just double check that if we move to 210 from 207, none of the documents and none of the work that we've got on the computers will disappear?
Correct.
Because a lot of that stuff is very, very important to the council.
Yeah, that's where we come in really. So we would supply you the hardware and we would come in and we would set it up for you. And as part of that setup, we'll make sure that all of your software and your documents is migrated over safely.
And it'll be basically on the same file system, it will just be on
exactly
2010.
the same as it is now.
Right.
Can I just ask a slightly different question about physical storage and backup? Is anything physically stored on the server then at the moment?
Yes.
And it's backed up weekly, nightly,
David.
nightly. So that's, is that something that someone does, or is it an automated?
We do that here, and luckily,
Is it automated?
no, it's a physical hard drive that has to be plugged in.
Correct.
Right,
So someone needs to swap it,
right,
but the backup process is automated.
okay. Do we take one off banger?
Yeah, one off the premises every time.
Yeah. Okay. And that was successful when we had problems the other day. We did manage to recover everything.
Well, luckily they worked.
Well, not luckily. It's not luckily. It should work.
No,
shouldn't
but
it?
you know, they weren't corrupt. There's a chance that they could have been, because we had to replace them a couple of years ago, because all of a sudden they just.
Yeah.
I don't really know how we found that out.
This is part of my next point, which we'll come on to.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
it's not expensive these days to run RAID as storage. When I do it for my own files at home.
Yeah.
Which it means you're not relying on a disk not being corrupted or whatever. You've got fully redundant storage.
Yeah, to get slightly technical, the server that you had is RAID 5, so data striped across 3 disks.
Okay.
It will accept one failure of those disks.
Okay.
The issue in this scenario is the failure was one level up the chain, so it was with the controller
Right.
itself, which is only one.
Yeah.
That actually the configuration was completely erased.
But you still could recover everything from the disk?
No, because the data striped over 3, so you can't use a third-party software to recover it. And because the container, if you like, configuration for that array was missing,
Right.
it was unreadable.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Are you
so
gonna-
you did end up relying on a single backup?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
So you're going to take us on to the next level then?
Yeah,
Can I
if
just-
you
Oh, sorry, sorry, Jerry, I thought you did anyone.
If that backup hard drive had been corrupted,
Yeah.
would you be able to go to the previous backup, or is there not?
there are 2
Right.
in use at the moment, so if one had not worked for whatever reason, we would have the opportunity to use another.
Yeah.
If both of those were in a non-working state, then it would have been game over.
Okay.
You would have lost Sage, accounting data, all your documents, your emails, etc.
So it's good that it works, but it's not as robust as it could be.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Any more questions on the Windows 7
No.
desktop upgrade? Okay. Well, that brings me on to the next point then, which is kind of what you're talking about. So, our relationship historically has been we put the kit in and we leave you to it, and you phone us if you've got a problem.
Yeah.
Which 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago was fine. The issue that we see today is that relationship is no longer appropriate with security issues as they are now. Organisations really need a more robust approach to IT services and making sure that systems are secure, up to date, backed up, etc. So one of the major concerns we had when the server failed was that because you have that set it and forget it, call us when you need us relationship, historically, nobody here knew whether we were going to be able to rely on that backup drive. It really was a case of we would only find out once we'd taken everything back to our office, interrogated the disks and gave them a call to say, yeah, we're all good. Yeah. That's not really acceptable now. You need to have confidence that, yeah, the backups worked and was successful last night. And that's where we come in to provide a more proactive service, so an ongoing support agreement where we make sure your backups work every day. We make sure that your system's up to date from a patching point of view. We make sure there's no intrusions, etc., etc. We test the user base to make sure they're complying with the latest security guidelines, etc., etc. And that's one of the things we'd like to address going forward, to move you on to something more robust that keeps you safer and make sure that your data's safe. So we offer a variety of different packages. The top package that we offer is would cost the council, for the devices you've got, £174 a month. That would include all support as well. So historically you have spent on average about £120 a month on ad hoc support. So you'd be moving from that, placing that £120 a month with £175 a month, but you would be receiving that proactive service. We would be managing the IT environment, making sure it's secure, checking for intrusions, checking the backups are working every day, etc.
So does that include Sage cover?
No.
Do you help with Sage? No.
We do, yes, but Sage Cover is a Sage product.
Yes.
So
But if we didn't have Sage cover, we would come to you.
you have to have Sage Cover now.
Okay. I'm out of date with this.
So Sage is on subscription. If you were to I don't know whether the council do it on subscription currently, but at some point they will force you to go down a subscription
We
route.
tend to use Sean if we can, if it's necessary.
Yeah, you're fine to call us, but you still need that Sage Cover.
Yeah. Sean's the Sage expert in Blue Moon.
Yeah, Sean saves you a bit of time having to phone Sage and wait in a queue and get through to someone who doesn't know who you are and how you operate, whereas we have that local knowledge.
So that would include throwing Sean up if we needed to.
Yes, yeah.
It doesn't happen very often.
Can I ask, obviously this is going to, 2,200 a year, if we go for your top one. What's your increases been over the last 2 or 3 years for this sort of scheme?
There hasn't been a cost increase on this since probably 2002.
So are we expecting a stable amount every year for a couple of years at the very least?
We're probably getting ready for an increase, as you can probably guess, but no, generally it's not like we increase them every year.
No, I just wanted to know.
Yeah.
You just said 2002, it's now 2019, that's 17 years. I'm assuming...
Sorry, 2012.
Sorry, 2012. It's still...
Still a while.
years ago. So I'm assuming that within maybe the next 12 months, you're going to be putting your prices up.
We might do that, yes.
And what sort of percentage would be putting the prices up to?
We're quite mindful that customers don't want huge price increases, so I wouldn't imagine it would be, it's not something I've considered, but I wouldn't imagine it would be a significant amount.
Okay, and then going forward, you don't anticipate hikes every year?
No.
Okay.
Just based on previous behaviour, really,
Yeah.
it's not something we take lightly.
We can always go somewhere else if we don't like the price.
And there isn't
This is
that.
very true, Mark.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to look at long-term stability.
The prices are fixed for a year.
Yeah, I know, appreciate that, yeah.
So I think we've developed a good relationship. Sorry to
So, what else could we conceivably need over the next 3 years?
You are probably, you would have pretty much replaced everything, because you're having the new server, that's done. We started discussing replacements about a year ago, so it's kind of been forced upon us now to get it done. So the server's all good. The desktops, if we replace the ones that are Windows 7, they'll be good. The only other device is Emma's, but that's relatively new anyway, so that'll be good.
It's kind of 3 years in January.
Yeah, your save will be on subscription, so you'll have the access to the latest updates. You are already on Office 365 for the Office software, so that's again on a subscription where you can update as and when they release new software. So no, to answer the question, I don't anticipate any other expenditure in 3 years.
One thing that I would like is to have all of the councillors on a council email account,
Yes,
as opposed to off their personal accounts.
which is an absolute must, really.
Yes. And would there be a cost implication for that?
Yes, you could get away with an Office 365 email only account, which is £3 per person per month.
So I think that's something that we should have.
But yeah, absolutely, that's quite a...
Because at the minute, I would say that we're potentially breaking GDPR.
Yeah, absolutely.
Breaching it, rather.
It's quite a big security concern, having council information flowing through personal email accounts. That needs to change quickly.
And no 0.207 machine will actually work if I'm another account.
So in terms of our relationship with you, it seems to be very good, you know, sort of the member and the staff are very happy with the way you've responded.
Yeah.
What would frighten me at this point is if we had to go into one of our bidding and tendering type mechanisms, so we've got to get three quotes.
Well, we did do that. I did that last year. And in actual fact, I think because over this year we've had to do various different things, and I think part of your quote was to replace some of the equipment, you've actually quoted a lot less than your previous quote.
Don't tell him that.
But also considerably less than the other two.
Yeah. So you think we've got enough documentation that allows us to proceed, and you know, just bearing in mind the other conversation that battered around there, this is a 12-month contract. Yeah, we're not, you know,
That's 10% for cash.
Right, well, thank you for the very, very precise and informative conversation. It's not normally on this subject; it's so confusing that several of us don't understand it.
Yeah, well, I like to tailor it to the audience.
Yeah, really. So I remember when the systems went up from 286 to 386, and go back to that.
It was still at school, wasn't it?
And after that, it just got bloody confusing. Right. So, have we got enough then?
Yeah,
we're not making a resolution or anything at the
Not
moment?
at this moment. We have got one later on.
Yeah, okay.
Within the agenda.
Do we need them to stay on, or?
No, no, I think it is
No,
just
unless
purely,
you've got
yeah.
any other questions for me, I'm going to clear out at this point.
Yep. Yeah, thank you.
There's, like I say, I've only got 4, but I'll leave these here, help yourself. It's got the quote for PCs, it's got a brochure that details our services, and it's also got a bit of information about cyber security.
One question, you were saying the top of the range is £174 per month.
Yes.
What's the difference between that one and the bottom of the range, and how much is that?
So the bottom of the range package doesn't include support, so you would still operate on the same basis that as you do now, i.e. we don't bill you anything unless you phone us, and we bill you for however long we are working for you. The bottom package really just includes some very basic remote monitoring and making sure patching is working correctly, making sure the backups are working correctly, but that's it, that's all you get basically.
And how much is the lower level?
That is £10 per device per month.
And we've got
40 quid.
You'd have 6, because you've got the 4 desktops, Emma's laptop and the server.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it would be that plus whatever you call this for. That is all detailed in the brochure in there if you want to have a good read through.
Okay,
All right.
thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, Richard.
Thank you for all your help in the last.
That's
Yeah.
all right. I know what it's like. So, well, actually, I don't. But
No.
I can imagine what it's like.
Yeah.
You can imagine.
Yeah.
No, it was quite a wake-up call we had, and as that conversation there with Jerry and Peter, it was so close to it going horribly wrong.
Mm.
You know, that it was only luck that really.
Yeah, it was a nervous couple of hours
Yeah.
while we were wondering what was on the backup drives,
Yeah.
because you can imagine the consequences if
Yes.
you lost everything. But we're okay. So.
Thank you. Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye now.
Right, minutes of the last meeting then, of the 8th of October.
You forgot consideration of requests from interested parties.
No, we've done that.
We haven't got.
That was it.
I thought I was representing.
Oh, so you-
It was representations, but yes, okay. Peter, just for yours, considerations of Emma said the right time. Can we now get on with the minutes of the last meeting, please, Peter?
I'm quite happy to propose it.
Okay, anybody else, any conversation? Seconded by Peter, and all in favour? Thank you. Yeah, okay, the proposition to approve, and that's what we've just done, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you got something from Mrs. Simon?
Oh, yes, that's fine. Thank you.
So, to receive the balance sheet, budget account and the hub trading account for October 2019. Who would like to start? Sorry?
I have no comment.
Nothing in there. Terry?
No.
Anybody else? I'm happy to receive those. I think the later agenda item is the more interesting. Yeah. So those are received. To receive the update on the grant request from the Oundle Cricket Club and approve the grant.
I didn't see, I haven't got any paperwork from that.
Well, you've had it about 3 times because of all the other meetings that we've deferred it over and over again.
And we've
Just
refused
when it
to
said
do
documents attached, I was frantically
Yeah,
going
there
through
are-
it,
there are-
thinking, where is this document?
The
Like
thing
this
is, it's not actually about their grant, because if you remember at the last meeting, you approved up to £1,000
Yes.
Yes.
to pay towards the piece of equipment that
Yes.
I think at the time Clive.
Clive had
That's
found.
right.
Found.
Yeah.
I went back to the cricket club and
Yeah.
met and said this, and they had a meeting to discuss it. They spoke with their maintenance team, and the maintenance team felt that they still needed a piece of equipment of that spec, the original one, but they're happy to buy a cheaper alternative, a second-hand one. So they've already got £1,500. If we'll honour that £1,000 grant, they'll be able to buy the second-hand one.
Okay, so that's the
Well, I think
proposal.
it's already approved it, I think so.
You had, but you'd approved it on another piece of equipment,
Okay.
and I just wanted to bring it back
All right.
so that you can agree as to whether you are happy to still give that grant.
Given that we were prepared to spend up to £1,000 last time, it seems to me it makes little difference what they buy, as long as it's what they want.
Yeah,
I mean,
and as long as they buy it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we're not giving them £1,000 to put in their kitty, it's to
What
buy
to wait
it
now, I
when,
think, yeah.
yeah, so when they bought
We
it.
see the invoice.
Yeah. So what is it we're actually doing? We received,
I just want you
we
to
received
say,
an
yes, you're happy with them.
oh, there's
to-
a bit more than receive update then, is it?
Well,
To agree?
no, you're not approving it, you're approving it, but you're happy that I go back to them and say, yes, we'll honour the grant.
Yeah, I proposed it last time, so I'll propose it that we do it now.
Okay, and I'll second that one. All those in favour?
Can I vote on
Of course you can.
that? I think the previous one.
Right, to consider the grant request from the Oundle Clock Fund. And this apparently is the clock that goes on the church, not the clock that goes on Oundle Town Hall, which is not called an Oundle clock, it's called something else.
So the amount they want then is £300.
Yeah, for the
So
maintenance.
if I could just explain,
Yeah.
what they do is they ask us for a small sum every year,
Yeah.
so that as and when they get a repair bill, they aren't suddenly coming to us saying, we need £1,200 or what have you. So we've tended to drip feed them amounts and hope that it more or less balances out, and figures around about 250, 300, sort of roughly half of the cost.
it's a drop in the ocean compared to what we're going to do.
Yeah,
Well, you know, it all has to come out of our grant fund. We have a set amount that we give to the town each year. Just on sanitary check out, and we still have got £300 in there.
Yeah.
And last year they didn't have anything.
Okay.
So are we going for that one?
Yeah, so it's been proposed by Councillor Glenn and seconded by Councillor Houghton. All those in favour?
And which is that for?
£300.
300.
Right, so now we've got to what we all came here for, talking about the budget for next year. So yeah, when this was first presented to me, I sent it back and said this is a very ugly child. You can actually see that realistic numbers that went in there on the aspirational things that we had. There is no way, clearly, that we can increase the precept to recover that sort of money. And that's why I printed out this little sheet. It was a bit of an eye-opener for me, where Oundle precept is, per household.
It's not really comparing like with like, though, to be fair. Not one of those towns operates the degree of facilities that this town seeks to operate. This building alone is extraordinary compared to other places. And we've got the Queen Victoria Hall, and we've also owned the Joan Strong Centre, etc., etc. So, the sense if you want to play in the Premier League, arguably you've got to play Premier League opposite.
But at the same time, you say that Frapston is running 25% less than we are, and it's got its own sports facilities and all the other things that go with the area. I just feel, that last year, I was very much in favour of a big increase, and I know I'm still in favour of an increase, but we've got to keep it in mind of where the Oundle residents are. Councillor Glenn.
Can I just thank Terry and Paul for doing all this work? There's a lot of work in it.
There is.
And
It's
not
not, I
dire.
haven't done any.
No, you did a
Well,
lot.
I have, but
Yeah.
Well, your name's on it.
not with Paul. Is it? Okay.
We did this before this.
Well, all right, Paul then. I think this is very illustrative, so carry on.
Yeah. So I don't know how to handle the next part of the conversation, whether we just keep going around the table until we're fed up, or
Well, I have
you've got some structure for
I've got
us.
some questions
Okay.
and I've got some suggestions.
Yes.
So if you'll bear with me, there's quite a few. And they're only in the order of imperative, so they won't make much sense until the end. So the first thing I've got is 5050, which we've got £1,000 in for repairs and maintenance in the cemetery.
Let me just catch up with you. Oh, go on. We're on the big screen behind you two guys. If you want to go to the other side of the table, you're quite welcome to.
So, from memory, we've got quite a lot to do there, and we've only got £1,000 in.
Malcolm, did you want to turn around and look at the screen? Because it's on.
Okay.
I think if both of you
That's why
turn
I
round,
moved, so you've
yeah.
got two choices. So I'm suggesting we put, sorry to start off on a negative note there, that from £1,000 to £5,000.
So just help me on understanding then what the additional work you're thinking of.
Well, as I recall, we've got a lot of tree work to do down there. I think there's some path work to do.
Certainly echo Chris about the park. Having walked back through there yesterday afternoon following Remembrance Day, some of the holes that are actually in the pathway that leads down straight off Mill Street down are enough to cause quite a hazard.
Okay.
I think that was the big issue when we went round there. A few
So,
people falling over.
are we talking about the cemetery, the 5050?
5050, yeah.
Yeah, it is a cemetery.
Yeah.
So I actually agree with Terry. I think we have to increase it to 5k. Not necessarily just for the holes, but going back to the further development on there by David Wilson, they're giving us the land, if we get it, the extension. They didn't say they'd actually make it available for Eastern burial. So we might have to do quite a lot of work on that.
But certainly not in this calendar year that we're talking about.
Well, I don't know. It might be. They might give it
Or
to us
we
this
may
year.
need to start putting money together because I think it can be quite expensive
Yeah.
getting ready.
I think if we go to 5,000, we've got a contingency fund there just in case. We might not use it, but if we don't allow for
on
it...
what we're talking about this evening, we're not going to be able to have any money that we're not going to use.
I agree, and I think we'll come back to something else that I want to talk about.
So-
I think, we must listen. I think on this, I think I'd agree with
Well,
Terry.
all right to go to the 5,000, but it's going beyond that.
No, I'm not going beyond that. I'm just saying up between 1 and 5,000.
Okay.
So then we go on to 5056.
So do you want that to be changed to 5,000?
Yeah.
I would suggest, Mayor, if I may, that if I run through all these, then maybe we go back again and decide whether we want to go 5,000, 4,000,
Okay,
nothing,
let's do that.
whatever it is.
Just one point. Were you talking about the churchyard?
I've realised that I'm just talking about the churchyard and other people were talking about the cemetery, so I apologise. Hence reference to North Street.
I am aware of that path and what we need to do with it. And if you look at the churchyard repairs and maintenance, we only have £500 in there. Now that,
We ought to be doing that work this year. not
yeah,
next year.
well, particularly when we've already had one incident
Yes.
happen.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, not by the pathway, though.
No,
No.
but I do appreciate that that path has got holes in it.
So I'm saying £500 we've got in there, I'm saying 2,000.
Yeah. Can I also say, and no disrespect to John, but I don't think we can use those repair kits because the holes at the back here come back up almost
Yeah,
immediately.
and I don't even think you'd be able to use it there because it's in a
Different
conservation
times.
area
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you're not going to be using black
No.
tarmac.
But so just on that point then, the other part of the conversation there was we were going to do it this year, not yet next year.
Well, it depends on what we've got budget-wise for this year. What we can probably do some this year, but maybe we'll need to do more next year. we'd have to have it looked at and get a quote and see.
Well, according to that, we're going to blow the budget this year anyway, aren't we? We've got a budget of 500 and we've got 1,380 as a projected spend, so yeah.
No, okay.
Next.
So let's do just what you said then. Let's just go down them and go back,
Okay.
and then we can have that sort of conversation
So
as
I'm
we go
on
back.
to 5082 Hare Road Car Park, RNL,
Absolutely.
which we've got 32,000 there. Now I know, because I've asked him why Paul put 32 grand in there, that was partly for ongoing RMN and the resurface of the car park.
Sorry, help me.
Can I just...
Which
So,
one? Which
can
one's
I-
Herne Road?
That's
Car
the
Park?
long-term
It's
one.
Jones
Yeah, it's very confusing, the name.
It's
Yeah, it
Herne
is,
Park, not Herne Road.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
Herne
fine.
Park.
It is Herne Park.
Thank you.
Well, I look at Home
By
Park and
mistake, I beg your
Google it, wouldn't come up. Basically, we're spending £32,000 on a car park we can't use. It's used by Fairline or by offices around there.
And that's charges.
So, well, we can't. We might, I think we have to think about having more seriously about having control in there, or everywhere in Oundle.
Yeah, we do.
Because I was down the market, the Friday market, the Saturday market, and Deborah was on, and she was complaining about the number of vans in there, people leaving their cars, just like one, for 2 weeks because they're going on holiday. Well, and also, co-op staff parking in there when they're not supposed to.
Yeah.
So it does need some control.
Oh, is this the co-op car park?
Yes, but I'm talking about the whole thing. I mean, first of all, there's 32,000 we're spending on car parks other people are using. It's the same with the co-op one as well. We're spending money on car parks that the people we're aiming at aren't able to use. And another, I know it's not part of it, but it was flooded on one corner, and the co-op's supposed to be, as I understand it, maintaining the car park.
Yeah, they are. That's their.
Yeah.
Well, they haven't been doing it.
So it is, even if it is true, the things you say, the good news, to some extent, is Oundle Town Council not responsible for the cost of repairing that car park.
So, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So they do the white lining, everything else needs to be done.
Everything.
Yeah,
they
they've
do.
been tasked about the white line.
Well,
But that only came out of another conversation. So just pull this back onto
yeah.
the Herne Road one.
Yeah.
So
Herne Park.
Herne Park. Yeah.
Herne
So-
Park.
I think we just have to log it at the moment because
Well, can I?
Yep.
Because I've done a little bit of work on this. So, Herne Road Car Park, as I understand it, in about 7 years' time, we've got to hand that back in the condition that we found it.
Yep.
To resurface that car park tomorrow and do a very simple job, the simplest of simple jobs will cost 19 grand. That's without doing all the trees and everything, so that's just to surface the car park. And then while I'm on the car parks, I carry on. The car park will cost 38 grand, and the just will cost 13 and a half.
So just that point that we made before, we, Oundle Town Council, don't spend a penny on the co-op car park. The maintenance of the co-op car park is down to them. So when they took the lease from us, it was on the basis that we gave the lease on a peppercorn rent, and it says only if we ask for it, but they are responsible for the maintenance of it.
Brilliant.
And they have a 99-year lease on that car park.
Okay.
Isn't it time in that case then we actually wrote to them and said, look,
Yes, and
Absolutely.
They ha- they
we'll
have
been-
send
We
you
have
the bill.
spoken to them.
Yeah, I think we've got to.
okay.
Yeah, well, why we already
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
And we've got an R&M budget here for that car park,
Yes,
£1,000.
Yeah, so the good news is, yeah, we don't have to spend.
So we can take that out.
However, I've looked at all 3 car parks again,
Yes.
and in my opinion, I'm not a tarmacer, but I worked in that business, that we certainly don't need to resurface them next year. And I'd go so far as to say the next year after, and possibly the next year after that, unless we get 2 or 3 very bad winters.
Good.
What about drill hole car park? Sorry.
And the drill hole the same.
Well, that's got great big holes in it.
It doesn't want a full resurface, I don't believe.
No, but I mean a repair would almost cost
Right,
much.
so if you remember when we started out on the 3-year plan, we put in, I think, £60,000
Yeah.
for resurfacing car parks. So that was that. Coming back to Herne Road, so I've said take out the 32, and I think we probably need to do some R&M, maybe get rid of those tree roots or other bits and pieces, because if we leave it and leave it and leave it until we have to hand it back in 7 years' time, it's going to be big money, big money. So I'm saying around about £5,000, but it might be a little bit more once you get messing about with those tree roots.
Okay.
So you're suggesting a budget item of 5,000?
About £5 just to do repair and
Okay.
maintenance.
Shouldn't be 7 just in case.
No, I think we'll say
Yeah,
5.
I mean, I don't know what it would cost to rip out the tree roots and do a bit of patching work. I just don't know that.
Well, shall we err on the side of caution and put 7?
No, you put 5 down at the moment.
I think so.
Sure, okay.
I mean, you know, the thing
No,
when
it's all right. It's just that
Marvel's
after looking at the other ones for the last year and the year before, where we've under-costed, it's sometimes better to go a little bit over than under. To be honest.
I'm trying to bear that in mind.
not
I mean, we're saving
Peter,
25,000.
Peter, when we get to the bottom of this list, we've got to go back up it and
Yeah, I
take
know,
money
yeah,
out
I
of
know.
it again.
I know, I understand that.
So the next one is 5092, drill hall. Hall's got put in £1,500, thereabouts. I'm suggesting 3,000.
That's for the repair.
Just repair and maintenance.
Okay.
It's kind of covering white lines, etc. Yeah. So what did you say on that, Terry?
Sorry?
How much did you say for that?
3,000.
3.
I thought the lines were done fairly recently.
No, we've talked about them.
No, we talked about them.
We've got a quote.
We keep
Very
talking about
hard.
them,
Yeah,
they're just
I
not
remember
there.
it
Yeah.
coming up as a topic.
So question for you, Paul. So in terms of its public convenience water rates, we projected 2,450. We've actually put in for the budget next year 2,450 for this year, but you put only 1,200 in for next year.
Because there was a large bill came through for £1,660 for water leaks, and normally it's just under £1,000. But that was one bill for £1,600, and now that bill's been fixed. So for this year, I expect it to be about 2.5, and it should return to normality over around 1,002 for next year.
Okay. So 5109 is St Osyth's toilets, R&M.
Yeah.
We've got £1,000 in. Now we've already agreed that they need refurbing and that we're going to do it over 3 years. So I'm suggesting we spend £14,000 next year.
We haven't got the money.
We know that.
We haven't got the money. Yeah,
Well,
so
let's just see where it all ends up.
Yeah, I think we should, don't you?
So recreation ground R&M, £5,000, what's that for? I thought we were doing all the R&M this year. Get that safe and neat and tidy and so on.
That was for skateboard replacement, that cost £90,000. And in the short term, via estates, lease was saying £5,000. Isn't it sure to spend the £90,000 to replace the skateboard park?
Okay, and it's the skateboard park, the next one, 5131, youth activities. 30 grand.
Yeah, that was in terms of the, yes, that was the skateboard park.
Yeah.
Is that
Well,
not
that's
just
what-
playing the children's
That's what I'm
playing
assuming, is that.
Yeah.
We've got no S106 money to fund that.
Well, it depends. There is the Section 106 money, although it was never really, it wasn't approved because we then decided to use it on Fletton Field. We've
Yes.
got £70,000. At the moment, we've earmarked to put in for the bid for Fletton Field, along with a 24/7 something from our general reserves. Now, if we don't do that, potentially we can then...
Well, I think this sort of expenditure will be contingent on that sort of money becoming available.
And the 230,000s were related to the skateboard park, and the 90,000 was, Lisa was chosen to say how much would it cost to replace the whole thing.
So can I just go back to the Fletton Field thing? So the 70,000 is 106 money.
Yeah.
So that can be used in the recreation.
We can, it's money that's currently held at East Northants Council.
Yeah.
And I can ask if we could
Could transfer it to something else. Yeah.
If we can transfer it to something else.
And then the 24,000 that we put aside for
That's
Fletton
in our
Field as
general.
well, that's our money.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine, thanks.
Uh, 5180, R&M at the Jones Strong Centre, we've got £1,000 in. Every year we have a discussion about Jones Strong Centre, and it seems that we then don't spend very much money. I'm just
We spent quite a lot of money
fearful that
last year.
something's going to jump up and
In 2018, that was £3,500
Yeah.
planning for forward.
Yeah, we did the porch and everything, didn't we?
So I'm suggesting it's £1,000 now, putting £3,000 in there.
Well, it doesn't say 3,000, it says 1,000, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think I'll read the next one, grant.
Was that increasing from 1 to 3, Ted?
Yeah, that's right.
I think
Jane,
he's saying
Jones Strong
increase
Centre,
it from 1 to
3,000.
3.
Why? So you're saying increase it to 3?
Well, because we seem to talk about it every year, and then as though there's a lot of work to do, but then don't seem to do very much, and I'm just scared it might be another one of the little things we had this year that we got 500 quid in and ended up costing us £2,500. That's all.
As far as I know, there's nothing wrong with it now, especially since we've done the porch and everything else. So,
They have a full repairing lease,
yes.
so that's the inside sorted. But I'm just wondering whether we shouldn't actually have a proper look at the outside structure, because we haven't, I don't think, for...
And I think they've got some issues with leakage in
That's
the
what I'm
garage room.
thinking, you see, that
All right.
we tend to only respond to dramas down there rather than, or to,
Yeah.
they're not dramas really, but whereas we probably ought to have enough to do any proper work that needs doing. And I think Terry's right on that.
Yeah, if we're proactive on these things, they cost less than being the
Exactly.
other way.
So highways and verges, which is 5560, or highways verges.
5560, that's a bit of a jump. What about the £20,000 going into QVH?
Well, we've not talked about QVH.
Well, sorry, the 20k that we're talking about here is
It's on our budget.
Is that the loan repayment, or is this
No.
the
No,
rebalancing?
it's
This is the
just makes
balancing
sense.
grant.
This is to make up for the losses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we can't discuss the QVH tonight, can we?
We-
Well, if it's in our budget, we can,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, we can discuss the £20,000.
I mean, when you do the QVH budget next week, you might want more than that.
Well, I think the Chancellor
Can I
whistle
just-
for it.
Can I mention anything on that?
Yes.
Yes.
From the Queen Victoria Hall, you would need to get £32,800 income, which would then mean you wouldn't have to have a corresponding grant from the
That's interesting. I've got some comments on that because I noticed the income's been going down.
Yeah.
And I don't know what sports activities and things we had in there, yoga, but that new yoga centre in down by the wharf is taking business from here and I think from there as well. And they're getting full up pretty quickly. It's very impressive, the focus they've got down there. My wife goes there and there's Pilates. Oh, I don't know, some of them will come from our premises.
There's
So-
the yoga one. I thought it was yoga from QVH. It's actually a new class that's going to start here, and she's moved there.
So,
Well, that's the income for the last 8 years up on the screen.
and the other thing I'll say, which you won't want to hear actually, but I think we're selling all the space at charity rate. it says in the you know, we went through all this at the council, we agreed the rates, different rates for businesses and for charities, and yet I haven't had a straight answer on this, but, well, I haven't asked the right questions probably, but you look at the Oracle and it talks about hiring the hall for £30 an hour. Well, that's not the business rate. Suddenly a business person sees that and suddenly you say, I want £25 or £30 an hour, it's going to be very difficult to argue them up.
I think there's a broader thing, to be honest, Malcolm.
Sorry?
I think there's a broader aspect to the QVH anyway.
I know you do.
I honestly don't think that we're ever going to make money on it.
No, I know.
As it is.
Okay.
It's not going to work. It never will.
I agree with that, and I think we should support it. But we've got to be able to be sensible about it.
Oh, yeah.
And we've got to keep, you know, that support's gone up from, what, £8,000 2 years ago to £20,000 this year.
Yeah, so I
Or
think,
next year.
I think
So that's a huge increase.
there's two elements to the conversation. One is the bit that should be in the QVH. So we're talking about the balancing grant here. When we get into our QVH meeting, it's next week, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so next week we talk about that. But very specifically, I think you're raising the more global question about what we're charging for all the facilities, being in this building or in
Probably, yes.
Yeah.
And also what we're doing about marketing them
Which
and
is-
getting business in.
Yeah, which is essentially it's an estates conversation plus the
Well, we should put a figure down today, so what are we going to do?
I think
Put a figure down for what?
Well, we're talking about our 2021 budget, and it's a question of can we budget for anything less than 20,000 balancing grant. So unless next week's meeting comes up with a promise to Oundle Town Council that they don't need the 20,000, we can't do anything other than in this conversation today than put 20,000 in.
Okay.
Yeah. Go on, Jerry.
Can I just ask, I'm struggling to, I'm going to spend that time looking at it in advance of the meeting, but I'm struggling to see why it's leapt up so much, because what's changed? Because it's never been 20,000 in the past. Why do we think it's going to be 20,000 next year?
well, there's a new boiler.
Because that's what the income is at the moment. That's what it's been for the last 8 years. £12,000. Anything 12, 10, 11. Part of this is you've got repairs amounted to £10,000 in the QVH. So that's where the additional money's come from.
So the additional money is an extra repair and maintenance, that's what's coming from?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
The place will need redecorating one day.
Because previously the repairs and maintenance haven't been
Yeah.
fine.
I mean, if that was a question, was
Yeah.
why has it changed? Is
Yeah.
it because we've said we want to spend £10,000 on the whole?
Yeah.
So it's good. Well, it's good.
Which is a choice, we don't have to spend £10,000 on the
No,
whole.
we've got a major damp problem and a gas pipe. Okay, but you know, just on that point then, is that if in next week's meeting, you know, QVH Trust decides it's not going to spend that money, then yes, this figure can go down by 10 grand.
Can I just, sorry about this, we are actually all on the trust, aren't we?
Yes,
So next week's meeting is open to all the people who are here tonight
and the rest of the
and the
council.
rest of the council.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Right, we're all travelling in one direction.
556 highways villages,
Sorry, what was that?
5.60.
5560.
Paul, you've got projected 7 grand this year and then it's gone up to 9.
Because he's currently charging £862 for 8 cuts, which is 6,900 quid. And then I assume that price will go up, and there's quite possibly other things coming up on verges. So it's just, if there's going to be at least £7,000 for the cuts, that leaves another £2,000 for additional bits.
£20,000 for the new workshop. This is a way over from
Yeah.
kind of this year, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, we know that's not going ahead now, don't we?
The theory was it's about £70,000, £50,000 this year, £20,000 next year.
Isn't that SO on S? No, it's not. We're going to be funded by loan, isn't it?
No. Oh, yeah, it might be by loan, but
I thought that was the idea we had.
Well, I understood that the idea was that we're going to take out a loan because, broadly speaking, there wasn't going to be a huge amount of difference between what we paid back on the loan and what we
Exactly.
were paying out in rent on Eastwood Avenue.
Yeah.
We
That's
end up
because
with
we-
an asset.
Yeah.
another
It
asset
strikes-
to look after.
Well, yes, it's another asset to look after, but at the end of the day,
We haven't got
paying
reasonable
out money
money.
to rent premises permanently does seem to me to be relatively short-termist in terms of our thinking.
Well, can I remind those of us who were at the estates meeting that we decided to implement a new financial construct, which was that any major project needed a paper before everybody telling us how much it's going to cost and why the town needs it.
I think it's been discussed many times. Yeah, we've done all that before. So, yeah.
Just
Emma,
reinventing
go
the
on.
wheel.
As I said before, I think we should wait until the unitary council comes in. Then we know exactly what we will be doing. Then we can potentially look at a premises for that. Rather than spend money on a workshop, it won't be big enough, or it won't be suitable, and then we're still in a similar situation.
I think that's a fair point, but there's plenty of room for expansion within the projected building we're using.
Not
So
from the rugby club, there isn't.
So I think we've got
Okay.
two takes on this number in here. First off, if it's coming from a loan, we don't need it in this budget, unless we need some cash to do the work that we would do with the surveyors, the architects, and all the other bits and pieces. That would be cash that we need to budget for. And then the second one is that if we do, as Emma suggests quite wisely, wait to see if there's some other great opportunity that we can latch into further funding for this council, by taking on other work, then what facility do we need to do that?
So we delay this.
And that couples very nicely, Terry, with what you reminded us before. We said that each one of these will have a presentation of a case, capital costs, where the money's coming from, project timing, and all the things you need to do proper project management.
And also the support from the residents. If you're taking out a loan, you need to have their support that they want you to do that.
And how do you measure that?
Yeah,
Well, you have to go out and ask them.
Town meeting.
Well,
All right.
I understand the desirability of consulting, if you like, the public, but on the other hand, if the costs are broadly neutral between paying back a loan and paying the rent, they're not going to even understand why we're bothering to consult them, frankly, because if the expenditure is broadly the same, I don't really see that.
No, I understand the cash neutral part of it, and it is. But go on, Tim.
The Public Works Loan Board insist that we have consultation and not just something in a newspaper very away.
All right.
Proper consultation.
Yeah.
In fact, more than one from memory. More than one type of consultation with the townspeople.
So I think there are many mechanisms we can have for doing the consultation. I mean, we'd have to look at the legality of each one
I
of
think
them.
it's pretty sure it was mentioned at a town meeting.
Yeah.
Which one I couldn't tell off the top of my head, but not that one.
You actually... No, did you not have a sketch? I don't think we did it last year. I think it was the year before. I think it was Roy did it in the QBH one, I think.
It's certainly been talked about at the annual town meeting.
We had an architect sketch, didn't we?
Yeah, we
I
have.
think that was
Drawings.
at least 2, if not 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So are we saying we're going to take this 20,000 out or leave it in?
Take it out.
I think Tony's point was correct, which is whether it's in or out, it should have a balancing income on the other side of the line from the loan where the money's coming from.
The only thing that we need to consider now is, do we need cash for architects, consultants, or anybody else ahead of?
I am going to put something on the agenda next week, which relates to the ownership of the land. So I don't think we should do anything at the moment.
Oh, there is another issue.
So can we assume it's 0 then for the time being? I think you've got a fair point about the unitary authority. So we do have to know which town that.
I would feel safer leaving 5,000 in there you know, if we want to do something.
Like what?
Well, we've put some money out for architects, you know, to do the stuff, but the next phase of that, you know, we've got a whole load of facilities type stuff that needs to be surveyed if we want to put the stuff in, like the drainage, water feed, electric and so on.
But
So
do we do that whether before we know whether we're actually going to, what sort of space we need with the...
Well, one of the problems to this is if you don't put it in, you know, when you have decided you do want to do the project next year, you haven't got the cash to pay for it.
Right.
I would be slightly better because we haven't been back through this pile of money at the moment. But for the safety at the moment, I'd leave £5,000 in there.
Can I suggest that rather than putting it there, though, if you're going to say let's not progress the project, I do take the clerk's point, put it into professional fees, because that's what it will be, and then it's got scope for going anywhere and everywhere within that heading.
Right.
Back to Jerry for a second. There's a £50,000 income also in the budget for the workshop.
Yeah, that's come out, hasn't it?
That's come out then.
That's come out.
That was a neutral because we put it in income as a loan and expenditure.
It's not there anymore.
So it's not really there.
No.
It's fake money.
No, but I understand the logic that was being applied.
understand.
Why we've got a very small number on the right-hand column, because money was coming in and money was going out. You know. Okay. Carry on, Terry.
Now I go on to 7017,
That's a good leap.
the hub staff.
Yes.
So, when I'm looking at 17 accounts for the hub, and I see that year to date, the staff costs are 89% of our sales. But when I look at further 17, I see that our staff costs are 68% of our sales.
Because month 7 was only a 3-week month for where it all fell. Because sometimes...
No, well, does that matter? Because I'm quoting the percentage.
I think the point here is that if you look at the hub forecast profits,
Excuse me.
then,
Terry's still speaking.
sorry, I beg your pardon, sorry.
So why has it gone down from 89 to 68? Is it because of the attention that's being paid to the hub, and especially the way that we're staffing it? Because if that is the case, then the figure in 7017 is incorrect. It should be less than that.
Well, this was based on 6 months, and that should double the time this came out. 2019 figures.
So my question to the Mayor,
Go on.
who's leading the charge with the hub, can we assume that henceforward the staff cost will be 68% or even less of our income?
Okay. Let me give you a bit of an update then. So we had our, every Tuesday we sit down and talk about the hub and the various activities in the hub. What I explained to Emma, combination of Emma and Hannah gets Hannah. Emma, Hannah and Rebecca, is that from the 1st of April, the hub had to be a zero balance in terms of its profitability. So we have, over the last 3 months, made very good progress in getting the issues on the table, if you like. Looking at initiatives, and there's been some very good initiatives come out of them. But the rate of progress is not going to get us to that zero. So Hannah has been told, in a private room, that this is our plan, and it will mean significant changes to the hub. So the significant changes, go from taking it down to minimal staff, changing the product offering quite significantly to enable us to do. And we've talked about the length of time it takes to make a coffee and the fancy food and so on. So at that, I've left it now to the three of them to look at various options. But the whole thing is that by the 1st of April, there will be no balancing budget for the HOB.
Well, I think if you achieve that, you deserve a medal. Really, I mean, that's a very ambitious target, but it's the right target, yes.
Yeah, but it was, you know, the wake-up call for me was when Paul first presented these figures. You know, and you know the massive overrun that if we carried on at our current rate of progress, you know, so we've said, look, we need to do something radical.
I also noticed the hub takings seem to be falling year on year, which is a
So-
worry, and it's probably reflected in what was happening at Fletton House.
Yeah, so we're having to do something radical. Now, people are involved in this, so you know, I'm aware, you know, we're in a public forum in the conversation. You know, people are involved, and so you know, Emma will be talking to the rest of the staff and talking about the consequences. So it's very hard when we see one line of the HOB wages, because even that comes in multiple things. But if I can tell you that the objective now is a zero balance from the calendar year starting 1st of April.
Can't we then estimate what the staff cost should be and put it in the budget?
If you go at 68% of our turnover projected for next year, you're knocking that down from 62,000 just over to 52.5 grand.
Which is significant, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm quite happy if you know, we take that down to, you know, round it to 50, you know, for the purpose of this, on the basis that if the hub proves that it can be more profitable, you know, then we can bring staff in to do it. We're talking about hourly rate staff, so we can bring people back in if we need to. But for the benefit of this, you know, I want the balance of the hub, income and expenditure, to end up as neutral.
Okay, can I just say one thing? I mean, it doesn't really affect the budget, but hub costs do also include things which are not included in these figures. They're not. It's not a lot. I mean, it's the electricity and
I just want to stay on the big numbers.
And also, it includes staff overheads up here, because they have to supervise it, run it, do the accounts for it, take the wages down, take the cost, the money down to the bank. You know, there's a significant cost there.
There is. So if we can get to this first one, the zero balance on the straightforward stuff, then we'll work out where we go next.
I say, I think that's very ambitious.
Yeah. But you know, when you're ambitious, you know, the alternative is just close it down altogether.
Well, more radical solutions, but it's true, yes.
Yeah. So you know, we've gone in the considerations. They can close it down altogether to what we're just talking about, and you know, somewhere in between is put some self-service machines in there.
And that will also have an effect on lettings for Fletton House, I would have thought. Anyway.
Yeah, so, you know, we do make the place attractive by having the facility there.
Yeah.
Okay.
The next one is 7104. Comms and something website notice boards.
Comms and liaison.
Thank you. Projected £2 grand this year, up to 7,800.
There's an upgrade of the website, which is going to be £750, and new notice boards £5,000.
Well, new electronic notice boards.
No, just the ordinary wooden ones.
Really?
Yeah,
They do need it.
yeah. Well, this was picked up on the inspection the estates had this year.
I'm assuming then that's not including, if we go with the internet people, the 5,000.
No, we're talking about physical hard wooden notice boards.
Oh, right, okay. No, it says web, so I'm assuming that would...
We can't get our
That's
staff.
just the website.
We can't get our staff to paint them and make them half decent, can we? Or they're just beyond it.
They're yeah, the ones near the QVH, they just pick and break into them. I think they're plastics though, are they? Rather than
7106 insurance. Projected 15 grand, proposed 80 for next year. That's 20% increase.
Well, generally, we potentially can have that, but generally we get a rebate. But that's only dependent upon not claiming anything. So the rebate obviously comes off the cost of the insurance. So it makes it look a nice figure. But if we don't have the rebate, then it would be the 18,000 £20,000, plus we may have other things to insure, like a new workshop, like new notice boards, like a few new other things as well.
Okay.
Staring on some of the questions.
I've taken the sheds out, but we didn't get a big buy.
7108 professional membership fees has gone up from 5,000 to 8,000. That's even worse.
And that was down
It's
to
40%.
there's 7 new leases coming up in 2020. If that's an average of 300 quid a time, that's £2,100.
New leases, did you say?
Yeah, we've got a lot of the courthouse and new leases. Invariably that costs.
Oh, I see, okay, yes.
When are those due?
All in this next financial year.
From April you're talking
Yeah,
about?
from April.
Okay.
So we should be looking
How
at...
much was that?
How much per lease?
Yeah, well, overall for next year.
Overall, £8,000, and that's 7 leases at 300 quid, 2,100. Annual cost 4,003, and another 2,006 for contingency.
So that from April that could cost us £8,000 a year.
So we should be looking at the price we're letting those premises for and whether we can get any more rent.
They're on the current rate at the minute. That's what there is.
Sorry?
It's £130 a square metre.
And that's what we're getting, yeah?
Mm.
But if you look at the professional costs for the last 4 or 5 years, it ranges from 4, 19, 11, 7. Because we can incur them quite easily because we've got a lot of property. And Fletton Fields and...
Okay.
Do we insure Fletton Field then?
Sorry?
Do we insure
No,
Fletton Field?
invariably there's different fees come up
What, for Fletton Field?
for professional fees and membership fees.
This is talking about leases, and it's not talking about...
No, he mentioned Fletton Field, I just wondered what.
There's a cost of £12,000 in 2017 which went in there.
What, for Fletton Field?
Yeah.
Which we don't own, and NCC are trying to get money for it.
Wasn't that for the hearing?
I can't remember for the hearing.
Yes, I think it was probably representation of the...
Yeah.
Oh, well, that was it for the hearing?
Yeah.
Ah, right, okay. I was just thinking, why were we maintaining it?
No,
No,
It's
yeah,
all
2017.
Fine, no, that's okay, thank you very much.
7119 tourism, which I think is mainly Christmas lights and so on, isn't
Yes,
it?
it is.
Yeah.
It's going up from 22 to 25.
That was down to what we're planning to do here for Christmas, whether we're going to extend, and it's a decision to be made about whether we're going to extend the Christmas market to go further down West Street, further down New Street, new Christmas lights.
So is that what the extra £3 grand is?
Well, from estates, again from Lisa, she was saying to get more lights, it will cost up to that amount of money.
Okay.
So if we do that, though, we should have more income, shouldn't we?
There is.
Otherwise, there's no point in extending it unless we've got to
But
start
it's a
Yeah, you
solving.
get
decision
more.
about whether we want to do
Yeah.
that, whether you want to stop where we are, whether you want to expand out.
No, we're going to expand it.
So did we put a figure in
Not
extra for income?
I think there was a little bit extra for income.
It's not just Christmas lights in tourism, I don't think. We also like the putting up the bunting, taken down, that comes out of that.
Right, okay.
Any,
But we do that every year
Flowers.
anyway, so that doesn't count for the increase.
The Christmas market's gone up another 10% for next year,
From,
from 6,003 to 7,000, aiming for 100 stalls at £70 a time.
okay.
That's not bad then, is it?
Well, it doesn't work quite that well, does it, Peter? You know, 3,000 spend 700 income.
No.
I never know exactly how it works then. I was just thinking... You know,
I didn't know whether that was a sarcastic, that's not too bad.
No. I was actually just saying that's not bad because if we get £70 a stall for one market, that's not bad.
Okay.
I wouldn't pay for that. Pay that, I don't know.
I think there's a potential for there to be a slight reduction there. Because I think Christmas lights this year, what are they, 15,000?
Yeah. Ish.
So we'll potentially, I can't see how much we spent so far.
It's only £500 at the moment.
So that's plus bunting, I
Because
think.
we haven't
isn't
nicked Christmas, isn't it?
Didn't put up many Christmas lights in July.
Mm.
Well, we do have Father Christmas though, don't we, in July?
Yeah, but
It's the
I did
postman
notice
that
that the
comes
garden
out. Have you seen
centre
the postman? Never mind.
the garden centre up the road had fake reindeer, and they were quite impressive looking animals. They might be a bit cheaper than ours. Yeah, but anyway, let's go down this and then go back.
It's 7124. I've got a query against £6,000 for computer expenses.
I think we could spend more than
because
that.
it was going to come up tonight, and
Yeah.
we might have a clearer picture in 10 minutes when we wrap
Yeah.
this up and go on to that.
Well, that looks as though that might go a bit higher than that.
Well, we've got money left for this year.
Well,
Yeah, I mean, the important point is that money, how much that money will come out of this year's?
all of the server money will come out of that figure up there. So
No,
we've,
it won't be next year, will it? It'll be this year.
oh no, sorry, I thought we were talking about the money this year.
No, I said I've got a query against the £6,000 for
What,
next
for next
year,
year?
because if we're going to spend
This year, we
4
don't need
or
it.
5 this year, we're not going to spend another 60.
No, but then we
No,
may
you're
want to
gonna
spend.
spend 2,000.
Will we use that money? I think was that if we were going to be replacing laptops and things next year.
Yeah,
But from what
we have a better
I
quote.
think we may have to do that this year anyway.
Okay.
Can I just,
Malcolm?
7120, going back to it, the councillors' expenses and training, where it's £72 this year and 2,800 next year. I don't know what you've got plans for, but
We always have a
Well, we
training
always have
strategy
that,
of £200 per councillor. So
Well-
2004, we'll probably get new councillors next year.
Yeah, we're going to have a new council
Because
next
it will
year,
be an election year.
potentially. We could
Just
have
because we've got-
14 new
just
councillors.
just
all
because you won't
going
get
to
Just
council.
because we always budget for it, if we never spend it, why aren't we budgeting?
Yeah.
exactly.
But you should spend it, really.
I know you should, but we're going to trim something out. You know, when we come back to going back to it, I quite happily take 1,000 out of that number.
Yeah, I wouldn't want you to take it all out because it doesn't look very
Just
good.
reduce it from 200 to
Right, okay.
100 per councillor
Yeah.
if we're desperate.
Yeah,
So a bit faster to
share
take it.
a seat.
Where does your training strategy come from? Is that from,
That is mine.
now I'm saying that £200 per councillor.
I make sure that potentially, if you think about the sort of courses and things that there are,
We can run away with it extremely.
you only got to go on 4 a year and you've spent it per person.
Yeah.
I send them all on a magic carpet ride.
All right.
Um,
Keep going, Terry. Don't lose the will here.
7125, neighbourhood plan,
Yeah,
£5,000. Oh, how I wish.
exactly.
To be honest, Terry, I don't think we'll spend that.
Well,
But that means you're
I don't
giving up
know.
on
I
it.
don't have an opinion. Can't be reading the numbers out. at
That
this
means you're
stage.
giving up on it if you're saying no.
I don't
Myself,
think
I
it's
would
going
like to
forward.
leave
That's fair
5,000
enough.
in next year.
That's the honest answer.
That's true.
I would like to leave 5,000 in next year. I hope that next year we are still fighting the local plan housing allocation. That they are scale to take their plan through examination, and at examination we need to represent either ourselves or have some help with it. And therefore, I would like to leave 5,000 in.
So we're definitely not going to go, well, we'll see what happens, but go back to section
It's
14.
to do what I just said with the other thing and move it all into these professional fees.
Yeah,
Because that's where, if
I'm
we're
quite
going to
happy.
spend it on anything,
Yeah.
we put it there, then we don't show it as applying to the neighbourhood plan specifically.
Okay,
Which
it's
might-
easier to use it.
Sounds a good
Politically,
idea.
with a small p, be rather more of a selling point.
Yeah.
Because I suspect that the neighbourhood plan is going to be a rather sticky subject shortly.
Those are the costs for the last 9 years.
So just take that whole number off that, please. Yeah, but yeah, do as David suggests there. Let's put that, keep it at 5,000, but put it into the professional fees.
At the moment, wait until we've gone through all.
All right, and that's where it's going in a few minutes. Yeah. Terry.
Just a little thing here, that's 7230 Flatton House maintenance contracts. We're already up at 1,750 and we're only proposing 1,400 next year.
So in the last 4 years, there was 4,007 in 2016, nothing in 2017, £1,800 in 2018, just under 400 last year.
So are these actual contracts or just maintenance?
This would have been maintenance contracts for, I think, I need to check those to see.
The contract is normally an annual fee.
We have-
This is just people doing
I would
repairs.
say that that includes the maintenance contract on the boiler for heating, on
Those I can understand.
servicing the lifts, that sort of thing.
Window cleaning.
Yeah, pest control.
Some of those are covered in other areas as well.
Oh,
But you haven't put in there anything for the problem we might have with the roof.
Not on that one, no. I'll just
No,
repairs and maintenance.
We've got a
repairs and
problem with
maintenance is quite high.
It's 10 grand.
So I'm coming to repairs and maintenance
Can
now.
we got that down?
7246. Paul's got in 10 grand. I'm suggesting 15, simply because it's a big building, very well used. I don't want us to get to a situation that we are at QVH, where we put off and put off and put off, and then suddenly it costs us a big wedge of money. Also, I hope I'm not going to make myself a hostage fortune here. We've got quite a healthy budget in for this year, that unless something really goes wrong, we ought to be able to store away next year.
The only thing out of that that I can see is over and above any sort of R&Ms, if we are going to replace the computers, whether we could take it from there so that we can have it this year ready before January. That's what I really wanted to discuss
The
tonight.
computers that we're going to come to.
That Richard mentioned, the £2.5 grand on
Unless I've
replacement.
added it over on, we've nearly got that money in this year's budget.
Well, we've got £7 grand sitting there, but we've spent 6 on the server.
6.
Mm.
Ah, I misheard.
So- Yeah, well, that's, I'm happy with that, as long as it's achievable, as long as we're allowed to do it.
So we can do
It's
that
not
this
just the
year.
server, it's all the work that they did
Yeah,
to
yeah,
get us
of
back
course.
up and running, and all the work they did that week when we were completely crashed. It's not just for the cost of the service a couple of grand. I think.
Ah, right,
But we
okay.
did approve that
Yeah.
at the meeting last week.
Anyway, the point, and I'll say what I've said about Flatton House, that's what I think. 7271, what are Flatton House events?
As you can see, for the past 2 years, there hasn't been any. The plan was there were going to be events here, whatever they might be.
Right.
So these will be events,
And part of that would have been marketing for Fletton House.
You have a Christmas party, though, don't you?
You could-
so,
yeah,
Then you can class that.
but these events would bring in income, wouldn't they?
yes.
Ah.
Yeah.
So, and that's not reflected in the
But if you
other side.
Well, I think you didn't have somebody that didn't we have an employee that did events
I don't know how much I'll do.
before I was here?
Mm.
Part of the event was just to bring people into Fletton House.
But they should be cost neutral or cost positive, shouldn't they? Or income positive. Otherwise, no point in having it.
Yes. A bit like marketing.
Yes.
Which means it's 97273 Flatton House marketing, £5,000, projected £100 this year. Not very keen on marketing, are
We should be doing
we?
it.
So I
We
will
should.
take it out or
No, we should
do something with it.
I think we have to have an adult conversation that says that we are extremely concerned about both the usage of our facilities and the revenue that we're getting from that
Yes.
usage. And therefore, you know, if you're taking the marketing, you need a budget, you know, because you want to increase both usage and that. So I'm saying yes, we need to put a budget there. You know, our ability to spend it has been, you know, very disappointing this year.
Mm.
You know, I know that we've been distracted on a lot of other activities, but you know, if we're to stand any chance at all that up in the rates that we have for our facilities, we've got to be able to project them better.
I don't think the marketing working party's met though
No, it hasn't.
this
No, it
year. I don't think. Which is, you know,
You don't have to comment.
I'm not wishing to sound critical, but isn't part of Rebecca's job description to be trying to bring forward some of those marketing initiatives?
It's more about social media. It's more about running our social media. That's what she's doing, not creating, not marketing.
Okay, I'm just checking my understanding. I thought that was one of the things that
No, it's more about, we're doing lots on social media
Yeah.
for everything. But we've even, I mean, the £100 is for an advert that we put together to go in the Peterborough Opera to advertise QVH. So we are doing things that we can do in our remit, but bigger spends of money needs to come from, you know, a committee or working party that's working.
I think, you know, because of the failure that we've had, you know, beginning the volunteer stuff, we do need to think about, you know, internally, you know, how we might, you know, reallocate staff to do, stop doing one thing and do something else. But we're not going to get on with this one until we take it a bit more seriously. I mean, one thing in the town as you drive around it is Fletton Field is advertised extremely well. You know, they've got all these illegal posters all over the place.
Are you suggesting we put illegal posters up everywhere?
Well, you know, but it, you know, just on marketing, don't they market Fletton Field well?
Yes, they do.
You know, so you know, we've got to think about how we can do. If we're not going to get anywhere with the volunteers, you know, how can we use that budget somewhere else? Because one thing saying I can't do.
When you say the volunteers, you're talking about the marketing committee?
Yes.
Right. Well, maybe we need to change some people on it.
I think so. The problem is I can't take anything else on, please.
So the last one is 7363, 4 and 5, which is budgeted £29,000. If we apply the same mathematical calculation as we applied to the staff costs for the whole, that will come to £25,000.
What were those numbers again?
7, 6, 3, 4 and 5.
Ah.
No, beg your pardon. 7, 6, 2, 3 and 4.
Right, thanks.
7, 3, 6, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
So I think with the whole, we do need it on one page, income and expenditure. You know, because it's almost, it is impossible to look at a chart like that and have a discussion about expenditure on you've got to balance it with income. You know, so I know, you know, we've got this zero for next year. So somehow you're going to make sure that all these columns add up together. So I think the summary there is the neatest I've ever seen it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it's very illuminating for all those things there.
Yeah. Yeah, so that 30,000 minus at the end of that block is going to be zero. It is going to be zero because, you know, we'll make it zero by closing the facility down. If we can't get it to zero, operating it, we'll stop operating it. Simples.
Right, so I've finished that list, which I think we're now going to go through again and decide what we're going to do with each one. Is that correct? No?
Yeah, so just...
Can I just say something before we do that to concentrate people's minds and make us even more despondent? So, Fletton Field, we've pledged £70,000, which we have S106 money. Council also pledged another £25,000 that was going to come out of revenue at some point.
Yep.
There is no £25,000. I think at one point that was talked about as coming out of the 60,000 that we put aside last year for NCC services. That's all.
That's all gone as well.
Revenue reserve is at 139, I think, something like that from memory. It should be, Emma, how much?
Well, I think when we've worked out on an average, I mean, we have some months where we're spending up to £70,000.
Yeah.
I mean, Paul and I were talking about this, and we wonder whether we should say we should have £200,000 in our reserves, in our general reserve. Instead of working it out as 3 months running costs, we agree a figure and it stays at that.
No, I see no problem with that. Can I just come back to the hub?
Well, the problem is that we haven't got the £60,000 that it takes to, from where we are now, where we want to be.
No.
No, I haven't, exactly.
We haven't finished the discussion on the hub.
Haven't we?
Oh, we're not, I beg your pardon, I'm so sorry. Thought we had.
Councillor Robinson said we would close it down.
Yep.
Well, this council on several occasions have actually voted to keep it open, even at a loss, because we consider it to be a community facility. Now,
At a small loss, not 30
no,
or
I agree with you.
40,000
I
pounds.
agree with you, a small loss, and I would totally agree with that part of it, Malcolm. But I don't see how we can just turn around and say, well, we're going to close it down after the council has several times
The council
voted.
can take a vote on it any time it wants.
Yeah, the council has voted several times
Yes.
to keep it open as a community facility. Now, I am of the agreement that we must reduce the overheads, but just to say that because it doesn't reach zero, we close it down. I don't think we can say that without a vote from the
I
council.
think we've said in council many times that it should be cost neutral, but provided with the space at no cost and those overheads, but then it should be cost neutral. That's all we've been saying, and it's not meeting it. It's not going anywhere near it.
No, I agree. Look, Malcolm, I'm not arguing the point. I understand that. I understand that totally. And when I was arguing that point months and years ago, when it was losing money, I was told quite categorically, and it was voted on, and I was voted down on several occasions that we couldn't close it down because it was a community facility.
Okay, well maybe we have to now run out of money.
And now all of a sudden we can close it down. Well, I'm accepting of the fact that it could close down,
Yeah.
and I would vote for it to close down, but I'm just pointing out that the council had voted on several occasions that it's a community facility.
Yeah. And I think at the moment that would have to be that will ultimately be a full council decision rather than
Oh, not here, no. I appreciate
taken in
what you're
this
saying.
committee.
I think
We may or
maybe-
may not want to make a recommendation.
Under the estates hat, we should be looking at different options to run that place, and maybe other radical changes we can make
Well,
to achieve
Yeah.
neutral cost.
Yeah, not under estates, as we're in agreement with Emma and Rebecca and Hannah,
Yeah, okay.
they will come up with, they know what they've got to get to, and, they...
But you may have to go to something like a Costa Coffee operation where everything's done at the front.
Yeah, and that, this
So
is
your
sort of
kitchen's
one of the
yeah.
options, is, essentially turning the counter around. People do as you do when you go to Waitrose, you fill your own cup of coffee up.
Whatever, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
As long as there's radical options are being considered.
What we're doing at the moment though
Yeah.
is these meetings, weekly meetings that we have, they're being written up and that's coming to the full council. So you
Okay.
have your opportunity to see what we're discussing. Please, if you've got any input,
Mm.
please give it.
Yeah, sure.
We
We haven't got much time, have we?
Yeah.
No, we haven't.
Right.
It's very quick, and bearing in mind that December is a dreadful month anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're only even looking at about 3 weeks.
But at the moment, it would be cheaper for the council just to provide Nescafe and tea bags down there free of charge. You just.
Yeah.
It is that bad, isn't it?
It is.
Right. So let's get back. So Terry, you got that bit.
The revenue reserve.
Yeah, so the revenue reserve, the interesting one on that revenue reserve is because your bank balance goes up and down within a month. What does it look like on a sort of daily basis? Do we hit peaks where we've got the 20,000 in there?
Sorry, I wasn't listening.
Our bank balance goes up and down. I mean, mine does it down, it sort of peaks throughout the month.
Yeah.
On that sort of day-by-day basis, do we hit days when we've got 20,000 in there?
No, we've at the moment got a lot of money in there because both the preset tranches have come in.
We probably do in October and April because that's when we get our 2 lots of preset.
Yeah.
So I think this is important to actually look at that sawtooth pattern that we have, because you look at the bottom of it and you say we're below our 3 months, but the average through the year, might be that we actually got it. We're exposed a few times in the year. We're exposed.
It's more than a few times a year, but you have to be careful because if you are running your general reserves too low, you open yourself up.
Oh,
for issues. But not only that, with the external auditor as well.
Yeah.
They will start picking us up on it if they feel that we've not, because you're not protecting yourself.
If our expenditure next year was the $732,000 that draft budget looks at, then in fact, on a 3-month basis, if you simply averaged it, it would be 183,000 reserve, which is what, 50 grand up roughly from where we are.
Yeah.
I suppose.
So about 60,000 a month. I mean, it works in 3 months, just in case there are situations that, yeah, if ever we were
At that figure.
without a precept at the beginning of the financial year.
So the other thing we need to bear in mind is when the unitary authority takes over, and I know this is a bit nebulous, because the thing's not gone through Parliament yet, so it will be pushed back anyway. But whenever they do, if they haven't got their act together and we're not getting precepts on time,
Is it,
that'll be a
sorry,
big
just
problem.
for clarity, is that going to happen in this budget year? No, they've gone back, haven't
Well,
they?
it shouldn't
Yeah.
do.
So
No.
that
It shouldn't do, no.
that danger should not happen to us in this
But
budget
I'm
year.
also thinking about a 3-year plan.
No, sorry, I'm trying to get...
Yeah.
But
You see, just on things that we must do, and the fact that we've got like 20 minutes left to do it in,
Okay.
we've got to, by January, hasn't it, agree a budget?
yes, well, yeah, by January we have to submit that to the East Northampton Council.
Yeah, so we've got 20 minutes to decide what we're going to do next, and then we've got to get that agreed in our next financial and general meeting, haven't we?
I would point out that there have been budget meetings that we have sat till nearly midnight before now. So
Yeah.
Councillor Chester will recall those sort of nights.
But just in terms of usefulness, for the first line is, if we wanted to keep the same precept as we've got at the moment, how much money have we got to get out of this budget?
I've just started doing some forecasts now.
What, no increase?
No, I just want to get in a ballpark, for starters.
Well, 110,000 I think it is.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah. Or 107,000, 106,700, 600.
Yeah, so that's a hell of a lot of money we've got to...
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we could take 7100 to 7272, and that would basically almost see us even.
Well, you're talking about the hub.
Taking the whole lot. Mayor's expensive, telephone, stationery,
Yeah, well, we can't, so...
No, I know.
It's
Just saying.
interesting observation. Yes, Neil, thank you very much. Jerry, bring it back to common sense, please.
Question about precept. Do I recall correctly that we get an estimate of what the precept will be?
What the
from
Band D
DNC?
rate?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been trying to get that. I think I'm a little bit too early at the moment. So what they've suggested, and we have got I don't know whether have you got it on your memory stick, that thing. They've sent us a calculator, so you can put in what the Band D is, and then it'll tell you, let's say whatever your precepts, how much it's going to cost each person. At the moment, they're saying to work on the 1920 figures.
Yeah. But presumably, if all of the band's rates stayed exactly the same, we'd get a bit more money, I don't know.
Yeah.
Actually, we'd get a little bit more money because we've gained a few houses in the last 12 months.
Yeah.
I know it's not very many.
260 if the planning applications have passed on.
Yeah.
Well,
If we let all of that development happen,
Yeah, we would be
we
right.
don't think it's right.
But again, it won't be in the...
It won't be next financial year,
No.
will it? Because the number we get is
Yeah.
just a number of pounds, isn't it? When we
Yeah,
do
and it just works
finance.
on the Band D, D rate. Yeah. I mean, there will be some movement in it, but at the moment they haven't worked it out yet.
So if people move into new houses halfway through next year, that's basically a windfall for ENC.
Not us.
Yeah.
That's why we can see what the house is.
So we get there's 110. Even if we didn't put any more in our reserve, we'd go 110. And
So
if we did put the money in the reserve, we were looking at 170, is it?
Yeah, that's unsustainable, isn't it? It's just...
So we're looking at something like a 28% increase on precept.
No, we're not.
We are.
yeah,
If you look at what we've got this year and what's projected, with the extra 70,000, it's 28%.
Well, it is,
But
but
that's
we
why I
can't do
put
it.
that, don't we?
Yeah.
You know, first off, I don't think we're allowed to put 28%.
Yeah, you can put it up as
You
much
could
as
put
you
up as
want.
much, you could double it if you wanted.
Oh, right then, okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's say that, you know, for...
Whether you would want to do that in an election year.
yeah, for preservation, self-preservation purposes. Yeah. So,
Yeah,
you know,
this is
personally, I
Yes.
think, as we had the conversation last year, the maximum we could ever dream of putting it up by is 5%.
Yeah, I agree.
I think what you've got to realise, and actually, you know, Jerry pointed this out before we started the conversation tonight, before the meeting started, is that, you know, our 28%, if we put it up 28%, is something like only 3% on the total amount of the council tax.
Yeah, but Peter, you know,
People do notice.
Oh, I know.
we would have a total revolt if we tried to put that number
Yeah.
up. It is already, as I pointed out by this document, now, it struck me as, you know, amazing that we got it up at the level we had. But if we proposed anything like that, you know, we would have a significant objection to us, even though nobody else would want to be councillors. You know, they'd object to us. So I think sensibly, you know, for what we've got to do over the next 10 minutes or so, is if we went up by 5%, how much does that give us? Paul? So what's our income at the moment? About 700,000?
£22,500.
Sorry?
£22,500.
That's not
Yeah, I think that's what we worked it out the other day, it's about 20 odd
That's
thousand.
5%.
Oh, sorry, yeah, that was the income. Yeah, so we get...
47.5.
So if we say,
No, hang on.
if for the moment we put
400.
the reserve to one side, go back to the 110 and said we've got to get 90 out of that number. Yeah? Because that in itself is a massive task, isn't it?
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
You're not going to do it, are you?
Well, I'm just thinking about what we do sensibly in the next, you know, 15 minutes, because, you know, if we don't finish it in 15 minutes, we'll carry on for 3 hours and still won't do anything.
Well, if we, you know, and if we go back, if we start, for instance, right at the back and go forward.
So Paul, have you still got all of those figures in? The 32,000, 30,000 for youth, the
Yeah,
20
I'm
odd
taking
thousand
everything
for the
out.
workshop?
Yeah, all of those are still.
Because if we took those, if we took that 20 odd thousand out of the
Yes.
workshop,
So we take
I
the
think
20... Go on.
just very roughly,
Yeah.
we're trying to work it out as we went along. I
Hang
reckon
on a
taking
minute.
about 30,000 out.
If we're taking 20 things out of the worktop, you also then said you wanted to put 5,000 into professional fees.
Yeah.
And
So that's
also for the
15
neighbourhood plan, you want to put 5,000 in there. So although it's 25,000 that you're taking out, you're actually putting 10,000 back in, so you're saving 15,000.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
But taking all of those figures into account, if you look at every single one we've talked about tonight, it's 31,000.
Yeah.
You sure it's all? Seems to be more than that.
I know, because we've actually increased.
Well,
Because there are some increases as well.
Terry was
Yeah,
putting a
right,
lot in, you know,
yeah.
so 14,000 on the
Yeah.
toilets.
Yeah.
and
Well,
things
that's
like that.
that's the very big one. Yeah.
What about the recreation grant? 30,000. Didn't we do anything with that?
well that's for that youth, and that's what I was just saying. I mean, but what we said was if we do need to upgrade the skate park,
Yeah.
if that 70,000 section 106 money could be used for that and potentially we don't use it for that thing, then you've got...
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, so we can take that 30,000 out.
Yeah,
Well, that's all
And then we've got
I
car
think-
park,
I think
and we've
the
got
logic- yeah, the logic would be...
QVH has got to go down.
So yeah, I think the logic would be on that, the Flatton Field one, is that if we lose the battle for Flatton Field, then the money is available then to do the other thing.
But if we don't lose it, then we can still cut. If we don't lose it, we can't afford to do the other things.
Exactly. We'll have to postpone those till the year after.
So we take them out.
We are now, yeah.
Yeah.
So, when you say take them out, I think the number is the same. It's either here or there.
Well, there's a 30,000...
Well, you put it into a different
Yes.
year.
Yeah.
If we take Fletton Field out,
I'm talking about 32,000 for the skate park or whatever it was.
Yeah,
That's
that's,
60,000,
that's what
yeah.
I'm thinking.
Can be
Do we need
used
that
for
in
skate
there?
No, we don't.
I don't know. We'll have to check with them. All right.
but
So
we should have
Peter
that
was
as-
asking, is the 60,000 we got for Fletton Field, 106 money.
70,000.
70.
70,000.
Can we use that elsewhere if we didn't use them?
It's got to, well, it's got to be.
Yeah,
It's
well,
ordinary revenue.
In the
But we could use
beginning,
it
I
for the
did,
skate park.
yeah, in the beginning, I did ask, it's actually classed as outdoor use and adult
Oh,
recreational activities. But
Young adults.
I did specifically ask before we had the discussion about Fletton Field and
Yes,
what
we
we
did,
would
didn't
do.
we?
And they said, yes, we could use it on Fletton Field. But before that, I had asked about things like skate parks and other things.
all right. So, you know, the way I'm picturing this chunk of money then is it gets used for that or that.
So we've got the workshop, which was 20,000 originally. It's gone down to 15. We've got
Well, it should have gone down to 5.
No, it should have gone down to 5.
no, sorry, it's gone down by 15.
Yes. yes.
The recreation ground, which is 30, we're putting that one off. That's 45.
Yeah.
And then we've got the Herne Road car park,
Yeah.
which has gone down by 27,000. So that's 62.
Yeah.
Then we spent some money.
So, yeah, but keep going on the happy thought for a moment. We take the 30 grand out of the hog, you know, that we had in the hog, and I thought there was another 20 somewhere that we could have had.
No, we didn't say 30 grand on the hub.
Yes, we did, because he's got budgeted at 30,000 overspend.
Oh, well, I haven't taken that out.
No, we can't take it.
I took,
How can you take something out?
Sorry?
If it's there.
New workshop was one.
That 30,000, right, is fictitious money anyway, isn't it?
No, it's not. It's not
It makes
because
the £110,000 overspend that
Yes, I
we've got.
know that, yeah.
So if
yeah.
we take it out, then we're not 110, we're 80. Yeah?
And then we got 15,000 on the workshop, 30,000 on the recreation ground, and 30-odd thousand under the car park. That,
Sorry, when you said under the car park,
well,
just
right.
like, did that money
Under the
Well,
heading
we
of the
the
have-
car.
money we buried a few years
I was going to
ago.
say, I wish we had got it into the car.
Yeah.
So,
So in those very crude numbers that we got there, are we somewhere close enough to go home?
No, you've
Must
got
be
about
about 70 odd
70,000.
that you've just
Yeah.
taken out.
Sorry?
I
About
don't think
About
70.
70
okay.
odd that you've just
at least that, isn't it?
David,
Because
you-
you've got
Well, if you
about
take
the
the-
increases.
Yes, I mean, if you do take the recreation ground out, which I hadn't done, if you do take that out, yes, you're over 70,000.
Yeah.
So how much are we trying to get out? I've forgotten now.
No, it's just over 70,000 now.
Yeah, so we're trying to get 90 out of it. You know, so we've got 110. Take 20 out for increase in precept. We've got 90 left.
Okay. And we got, there's 70 of it.
Yeah.
Have we put some things back in? Oh no, hang on a minute. Have we put things
We
back in?
have, well, we have a,
We've increased one or two things.
What
haven't
about
we?
adding the stuff, sorry, Richard.
So you've got then, you know, the big hitter was the refreshing of the toilets at 14,000.
We put, you see, we put RM on Fletton House to 15 from 10.
Can I just go back to Christmas lights and tourism?
That would be a brightener for this one. Yes, carry on.
I mean, yes, it would look nice to have them all the way down West Street, but there are no businesses in West Street. So how do we calculate what, if you like, benefit to the
Yeah.
town
No,
from
I think-
actually
yeah.
the extra money spending?
So I wouldn't counter that there aren't any businesses down there because
Well-
we've had quite a strong lobby from the
Okay,
bazaar.
fine, you've
But
asked-
what I would say is that, you know, your logic is perfect. You know, we don't have to extend the lights everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, we can
Okay.
save money on it.
Can I-
Yeah,
can I-
we
I mean,
ought to
my
very...
question was how do we evaluate
Yeah.
the extra
To be
revenue?
quite honest, you can't evaluate
No.
it. You know, it's like how do you evaluate 2 reindeer? You know, you can't. But what we say is there is a budget for Christmas. So we got in there 25k. If we said the budget for Christmas is 20k,
it isn't just Christmas though,
I know
there
it
are
isn't.
other things in there that we
Yeah,
do
I'm
spend on,
asking,
yeah.
that's why I'm asking.
no, I think, you know, we're very sensible. We just actually said there's a budget.
Right, okay. According to this, we've saved 27,000 on Herne car park,
Yep.
30,000 on youth activities, and 15,000 on the workshop. That's 72,000. But we're also going to save 30,000 on the hub.
Yep.
So it's 102,000.
But then we've got some expenditure.
Yeah. So I think we're close enough now to put it back to Emma and Paul.
Yes.
Based on those few things. So you got the recording anyway, haven't
Yeah. Are we including, going to include Terry's suggestions?
Yeah, I think we've got to
I think
include.
we should.
And then
Put
come
it in,
back
see
to
where it
December.
leads us.
Yeah, and see how that.
See where we are.
Yeah, and you know, if we can circulate these numbers before the
Yeah.
meeting, you know, Terry, I really do appreciate what you've done here.
Yes, I
You
don't
know, we looked at this pile of numbers, many of us, and said, shit. You know, not just the numbers were big, but it's quite complex.
But don't forget the extra 10,000 in professional fees.
Yeah, well, what we'll do is, between us and between Terry's figures, we'll put those in. We'll look at taking those big numbers out,
Yeah.
and then see where we are.
Yeah.
And
know.
what,
When's the next meeting?
are we then saying, can we, sorry Paul, sorry.
So when's the next meeting for? Is this for full council next week?
No, for December. It'll come back here on the 10th of December.
Yeah.
So can I just then are we going for 5%? Who said is
Well,
that?
we don't know.
At the
You
moment,
say-
yeah. So at the moment, we used to use 5%, so that take 110 to 90, didn't it? Yeah. So we're just using it.
So we have to achieve that or better.
As a matter of interest, the average over 15 years or something, Paul?
18 years.
18 years is close to 7%.
Is it?
On precept.
It is frightening.
Well, that's not good, is it? Considering what inflation is at the moment, we shouldn't be happy with that.
No,
The problem we have is that inflation, okay, it sounds great, it sounds like 2%, but I don't know of any organisation that I deal with, manufacturer, service provider, or anything else, is doing anything less than 7.5 to 10% increases on prices over the last 12 months.
Well, houses have only gone up less than 1% over the last year.
Yeah, but that's because house prices are subdued at the moment because of what's happening.
Well, that's what it is. Those are sort of figures that come into those figures.
Yeah, I know that.
Petrol prices, I don't know, the oil prices go up and down, and
The
There's lots
prices
of
are,
other
things do go up, and as I said last year, when you had the very small increase, if you look back over those 18 years, you'll see whenever there's been a small increase, the next year you're fighting because you're trying to keep it small, but you can't because your costs have gone up, and so you then need to increase your preset by a much higher figure.
we can't have things going up against much more than inflation every year. You know, people get annoyed with it. They've got budgets.
They do, but they also get annoyed when things aren't being done,
Yes, of
when
course.
things are untidy. So,
Especially if they're being charged that sort of money
so
on the
if
preset.
you sit down with your budget and you're realistic with it and you know that's what you need to keep things running and your services up, you can explain that to your members of the public.
Up to a point.
No, you can, and I've done it. I've been doing this for 16 years. You
So
can.
And it's one of the reasons why this town is attractive.
Yeah.
Because we haven't shirked the need to spend money where we thought it's appropriate.
No,
Yeah.
that's right, actually.
So I think we've just had a very good conversation, and we've made it covered a lot of ground. I think we've given Erin and Paul enough to go away with, and hopefully we'll keep the discussion going before the meeting.
Yeah.
Because the next one we need to be quite crisp on what we're doing, because we want to present, if possible, to the December meeting, for full council. This is what it is. So thank you, Terry.
Unless somebody's got any objections, I would like to project the following 2 years as well.
No problem with you projecting. What I've got a difficulty is in how we manage the conversation without. It should be a fairly crisp presentation of the sort of things that are coming at us.
If we don't, then it's almost worthless, because the idea of the 3-year projection was that we should look at the bigger picture and look in the future, so that we didn't have kind of this sort of meeting that had to go through every line.
Yeah. So I think there's some big events coming up, but we need to get the sort of thing you're talking about fixed, to be able to cope with the other things that are coming at us. Like the unitary authority, and that might bring some opportunities. But the other one with our property and our property portfolio is what we're doing, that property portfolio, because it is driving a lot of trying to think of the right word for it, but it is driving a lot of staff requirements to keep maintaining, letting, as a sort of professional fees and so on. So we've got to do a proper review on that. Okay, there's one other agenda item, isn't there, on here now, the cost of replacement of the IT equipment. So...
we can't approve it here because it's over 2,000,
No, so-
but what I wanted you to approve was we have spent the computer budget, because obviously all the work with the server and what's happened, but I am mindful of the fact that, as Richard has said, we really should have this in place before January, so that we're not leaving ourselves exposed.
And there's a budget we can use to do that.
Well, the Fletton House repairs and maintenance,
Yep.
if you are happy that when this goes to the full council, that's where this money will come from, we'll be able to get
Yeah,
these.
no objection.
So
Do we need
if you can do a little
do we
vote
need
on that.
do we need a vote on it? Yeah, so
Well, okay, I'll do a little proposal.
Yeah, we've got a proposal and a second from Jerry.
Right.
All those in favour?
What I'm proposing or seconding is that we approve all of the expenditure that was described. So, i.e., the replacement laptops and desktops and the support contracts.
No, we haven't had the support contract yet, have we?
No, well,
Yeah.
There's
But it's indicated.
4 different types
It's
of
in there.
support contract.
How many different versions of support contract are there?
There's 4.
So we've only just talked about 2 of them.
well, he's talked about,
He said leave that with you to decide
yeah,
which one.
he recommended that top one.
Yeah, okay.
Well, it's not a huge amount of money.
That's what I was
No,
proposing.
that's
No,
what's
it's
going on.
That's what I was proposing, seeing as it didn't seem to be
Yeah.
costing as much money we're spending at the moment. It just
Yeah,
we're spending
I-
it ad hoc currently rather than
Yeah.
having it
So,
Having had this scare that we've had over 2 weeks ago, I'd just go for it. Yeah, we've got
Okay.
12 months where we can actually think about what we want to do at the end of the 12
Yeah,
months.
all right.
I'll include that then to
Okay.
go to.
Well, we don't need a second
No, that's
discussion,
okay.
so it included that.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you,
And
Sharon.
we voted, have we?
Not yet.
No, I've got a proposal and a second.
Second, all those in
Very
favour? I think we did vote.
We did that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think it's
Lovely.
that you can
Any other business? Report only. Around the table.
Well, the only thing I would say is that can we please, at the next finance meeting or at the full council, have a proper discussion about the assets that Handel have and
Yeah.
what we are going to do with them. Because I'm fed up with saying one thing and then saying, well, it's going to get put back for this month, next month. It's now got to be sorted and we've got to know where we're going next year.
Yeah, well, we certainly won't get it sorted, but we will get it raised.
So you want to put through an item for the...
Yeah, I already talked to Emma about this.
Yeah.
So, yeah, essentially, I wanted to talk about the courthouse and Queen Vic with QVH. And so we've got a complicated thing with QVH over what the council can talk about and what the QVH trust can talk about. But the council can talk about its liability.
The courthouse, my interest there would to see what the actual commercial let part of the place is doing, rather than the museum and chat. So
Yeah.
we worked out those costs from Councillor Sparks and myself, which showed that if we let it at the right price, we'd be able to make a profit on it. Now I want to know if it's doing that.
Yeah. Okay.
But
So,
it is, but then it's being eaten up by the subsidies that we've given chat and the
Yeah,
museums.
but we're going to have some subsidise. We're going to have subsidy to give them
But that's,
subsidies
how
anyway.
that's how
Wherever they
those
go.
figures were worked out.
Oh, was
So
it?
that is why it's not fully covering its costs, but also within
It's
that,
exactly it, with
we've had
the-
to spend some big money.
Mm.
And we will, there's more money to spend.
I'm sure
on
there
it.
is. It's an old building.
So, although you may be covering most costs, unless we're putting big figures in the budget to cover all the other stuff, it won't make a...
But getting rid of the courthouse isn't going to get rid of those subsidies to the chat and to the museum, unless we decide to.
yeah. So look,
Lots of-
Yeah,
this
this
is what the conversation must be.
Yeah.
I don't
Can
quite
I
know
just-
how to
And
contain
then one
that.
other thing in that case, and I'll just... Sorry, Terry. Do you want to go first?
Okay.
It's just that obviously in the budget, we know that we've got a fair expense for the courthouse on the roof. Are we putting it in this year's or next year's?
So this year.
We've got it covered in this year.
We have definitely got it covered in this year's.
Yeah.
Right.
But we'll have other.
that's-
It's
Yeah.
an old building.
I know,
It's going to be ongoing.
I know, it's just that...
On the next QEH meeting, which is going to be
Next
the
week.
budget,
Next Tuesday.
and presumably the conversation is going to widen from there, so it's 30 minutes enough.
Well, that was going to be my question. I want to bring it forward to 6:30. It's only an hour. I think you can get the budget talked about within that time.
I'm happy for
A
it to
big
come forward.
discussion about everything else, I'm not so sure.
In terms of the budget, that's all there is to go through on Queen Victoria Wall. So,
Worth marketing it, I think.
It's never easy. I don't know. I'd have to
So
check. Don't worry, I
just
don't
on
know.
the other agenda for the full council, can we steal half an hour out of the full council one?
If you want to run it until gone 10, and
Well, we'll run it with a bit of pace, maybe. I would like David to be here for that, and I know that 6:30 is a problem.
I'll do my best.
yeah, well, we can try it.
Would it be better to do it another day?
Well, the problem is you can't get everybody to come on the other days. That's,
You can't get everybody coming into
yeah.
it.
So, go on, just leave it to you guys. Yeah, do you want 6:30 or 7 start?
I'm happy with 6:30.
I'm happy with either.
Also happy with 7:30 when we hang on another half hour at the end.
Well, it'd be 6:30 or 7.
Yeah.
I don't mind either.
What,
I don't think that half an hour for the QEH, which we're all...
No, we were going. Well,
No, we're gonna
go for an
the
hour.
proposal was an hour for
An hour,
QVH, so
okay.
we either did 6:30 till 7:30. Yeah,
I think it's
or 7
important
till
to
8.
keep the council meeting starting at the same time.
Okay,
so
so-
started at 6:30.
That
I'll
was
do
my
my best
worry.
to get here if I'm a bit late for it.
because you end up, if you've
Well,
got
keep
members
your
of the public
seat warm,
coming.
David.
Yeah, so we've got an hour on QVH.
I think particularly as we will have neighbourhood plan and various issues, we will, I would think, potentially have members of the public.
Yeah, well, I might not be here at the next meeting. I might be in jail.
But,
No, I will be.
but I just think we'll have people starting to arrive,
Yeah, all right. No, that's fine. Okay. So we'll
and they might not realise
stay with
the time.
6:30 then QVH.
Okay.
All right. Right. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you.
very much.
Great